I want to first of all thank you for attending. Tonight is a very special occasion because it's the, I think, first time we've had a Sustainable Business Council person other than me. It's a little weird because it's my house speaking tonight, so it's a really special occasion. And before you hear from Carrie Norton, I want to briefly mention a few things. First of all, welcome to my house. I'm Steve Bland. I'm the chair of the Sustainable Business Council, and I also am the CEO of Living Homes. We make these homes. This is a prefabricated home. It was assembled in about 8.5 hours. It was designed by Ray Cappy, and it was the first home ever certified LEED Platinum in the nation. And if you haven't, you're welcome to walk around and check it out later. Okay, I want to acknowledge other Sustainable Business Council board members. I think there's just one other person, which is Becky. I can't see if you're raising your hand, but I assume she's okay. I want to briefly mention the Sustainable Business Council's forum. And tonight is technically an SBC forum event. That's one of the bennies that you get to get when you're a forum member, which is to go to events like tonight. But actually, what we mostly do is every month, one forum member gets to be mentored by peers on a particular business challenge. So you present a challenge or challenges to a panel of mentors as well as people who attend, and everybody for an hour or two acts like your board of advisors and gives you great feedback. How many people here have actually done a forum as a presenter? Hopefully some people are raising their hands. How many people have attended? Hopefully people are raising their hands for that too. Okay. So the next one is July 18th, 2 to 3:30 at the Cross Campus in Santa Monica. And the mentee presenter is Robin Shank, who's the West Coast Operations Manager for Stakeholders Capital. And her business challenge is, how do you keep your nonprofit networking organization relevant and continue to provide value to members? Are you sure you're not talking about us?
I'm talking about a lot of nonprofits, but I am definitely talking about one that's near and dear to my heart.
We're going to take notes too.
Okay.
So please come check that out. If you're interested in forum membership, please talk to both the cinematographer for tonight, Molly Lavik, as well as the executive director of the SBC. So she can talk to you all about that. So tonight we're selling a collector's item. I'm reading what I was written. I have to say what was written. I have to say that because the comments contained in here are not necessarily my own feelings. I just want that clear. But there's a possibility this will in fact be a collector's item. It was a book written by Mariel Hemingway and her co-author Bobby Williams and her partner. She is an Academy Award nominated actor, and this book is about connecting with nature for your well-being. And she, along with her partner and co-author, will autograph the book if you buy it tonight, which is selling for $10. So see Molly after Carrie's talk to get your copy. All right, look, here's the inside scoop. We bought a bunch of these books.
Tell them about the title.
I'll be honest. I think it's highly unlikely there will be a collector's item.
The title.
I think it's highly unlikely. But
the title. They're going for $55 on Amazon.
There was a misprint of the title, or some problem, legal thing, maybe, I don't know. But this title can no longer be sold, so there's a possibility it will become very rare. Anywho, tonight's dinner was made possible thanks to several sponsors. First, Real Food Daily, who provided the savory sample platter of sandwiches and the nori maki rolls and the mini cookies. And also to Gardein, which had the display out there with the sandwiches and the salad. And I'm going to call to the stage Julie Schultz, who's the field marketing manager, to say a few words about tonight's dinner.
So I'm an SBC member. So
Yay!
Yay! I'm Julie from Gardein. I hope you guys enjoyed the chicken slider tonight. If you don't know what you were eating, it's a meat-free company. That chicken slider was supposed to taste like chicken, but it's not chicken. So I hope you enjoyed it. And if you guys aren't familiar with Gardein, we're actually sold at every grocery store. Whole Foods, Ralph's, Pavilions, Stater Brothers. We're now in Costco. Soon to be in Walmart and many other stores. Our mission is to give people an alternative to meat, because as you guys know, being sustainable people, meat is a huge detriment on our environment. Water depleting, resource depleting, attributes to global warming. So there's many reasons why we need to get America and the rest of the world onto a plant-based diet, and Gardein's a great step for that. It really helps people get the protein that they need and move to a meat-free diet. So that's a little bit about Gardein. I have coupons if you guys like the product. We're on sale right now at Whole Foods. The coupon gives you another $1 off. And please give me feedback. Let me know what you guys think about it. And I know a lot of you guys have a really healthy diet. But if you have friends that eat meat and are trying to get off of it, Gardein's a great suggestion. So if you have any cool events coming up in LA, by all means, let me know. We like to feed people. And thank you to you guys, everyone, for having us tonight. We really enjoy feeding the crowd like you guys. So thank you.
Guys, I'll be honest, I'm having like a liar day, and I've already clarified those books probably won't be a collector's item. And Julie, I love you, and it's cool of you doing this, but I need to let you guys know what Gardein really is people. You are eating people. I'm sorry. No, that was just, that's Soylent Green. I've always wanted to, kind of go there. It's not people. It tastes like chicken, but so do people. Okay, so I also want to call tonight to the stage Monkarsh, who's the CEO of Ohm Cocktails, which hopefully you've tried back there. It's actually really, really good and made the right way. And Jason, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're doing?
Hey everyone, normally I'd be nervous to get up and speak in front of a room, but I literally just came from presenting to 100 family office investors in Beverly Hills that they decided at the last minute they were going to turn into a Shark Tank type of scenario, and I just got like peppered with questions all day long. So happy to be here speaking to you guys. I'm pretty comfortable right now. Ohm is the world's first organic, eco-friendly packaged prepared cocktail in the world. We use a lightweight glass reduced bottle. We plant a tree for every bottle we sell with a partnership with Trees for the Future. We print our label at a wind-powered printing facility, use 75% post-consumer recycled shipping cases, offset carbon footprints, do a ton of stuff. We're available at Whole Foods, Gelson's, Wally's, various stores throughout Southern California, and we just launched in Northern California, Florida, and Nevada. So if you guys haven't had a chance to try it yet, it's in the back. Feel free to reach out to me through Molly if you want any more information about the company.
And the bracelets, tell them about.
Oh yeah, so
can someone hold on the bracelet?
Yeah, normally because we plant a tree for every bottle we sell. When we do events where we're not planting trees, we have these eco-friendly produced one tree planted bottle bracelets that will plant a tree for everyone who takes a bracelet tonight. So if those are all gone at the end of the night, I will figure out how many were there, and we'll plant some trees with Trees for the Future. And we've planted 5,000 to date in Haiti, actually. Wow.
Okay, let me tell you what you're really drinking. It's blood.
It's chicken.
I want to thank, first of all, Nuri, please don't throw stuff in here, okay? I'm sure you thought that I wouldn't see that. Stuff like that I do see. I can't see anything else, but I see stuff like that. Yeah, anyway, in your own home you can throw stuff. Okay, I want to acknowledge, in addition to people throwing stuff, the other sponsors: Earth Friendly Products, Markham LLP, Living Homes, Summa Marketing Communications, Everson Design Group.
No, Evenson Design Group.
Evenson Design Group. Okay, look at how it's spelled though. Look at how many E's are there. You have 4 E's there, Molly. I wasn't going to go Evenson Design Group.
Stan is here. We got it right finally, Stan.
Generate Possibility, Gather Green, Be Revolution, the good cookies for the other cookies that were provided. And a big salute to the volunteers whose generous donation of their time and insights makes the SBC possible. So thank you guys for coming. Okay, I am going to do a very brief intro of Carrie. I've known Carrie actually a very long time through many different professional iterations of both of us, and was really psyched when she finally decided to do her own thing, which I think was frankly long overdue. And it's very cool that she is going to share her insights, because she's been really doing sustainable business for much longer than most, and walks the walk. And it's a great pleasure to have you with us, Carrie. She is currently the founder and CEO of Green Business Base Camp. She co-founded SBC with me, and she serves on the board with me. And Carrie, please share your insights with us.
Okay, so these lights are wicked bright, Molly.
Oh, you want us to turn it down a little?
Well, no, I just can't see any of you, so hopefully you're not going to all fall asleep in the middle of this. But I feel your presence, and I can tell that there are a number of friends here, even though I can't see you, and a number of new faces. So I just want to thank you all for being here tonight. And you'll ask for your forgiveness in advance, because I am going to use notes, because this is actually the first time I'm giving this talk. And so thank you, Steve, for hosting, and thank you, Molly, for organizing this, and thank you all for being here, and thanks to our sponsors. I know that Gardein and Real Food Daily and Ohm are the real reason that you're here tonight, but I will try to pretend for the next few minutes that you're here to see me. And then, Molly, I have one last favor to ask you, if you don't mind giving me kind of a 5-minute warning.
You got it.
I'm going to try to talk for 20 minutes, and though I haven't actually given this talk before, so I may go long, but cut me off, please, because you know how I feel about that. And actually tonight is, this exercise for me is a little bit of a forcing function, because I just happened to be talking to Molly a couple of weeks ago and telling her that I was working on this talk that I was preparing for, actually for South by Southwest Eco. And I was telling her a little bit about what it was about. She said, well, I think, we need to get rid of those books from Mary Ellen and Bobby. And so I just because it's all about what the book contains. So, come talk about it and we'll selfie books. So that's what that's sort of the genesis of this conversation. But it's good for me because it's a forcing function, because otherwise I would probably continue to procrastinate about getting this talk ready. And so I just want to say in advance, thank you for being a friendly audience, for forgiving me for not having this perfectly calibrated, and for laughing at my dumb jokes. And hopefully, I'm really looking forward to more of a dialogue at the end and a conversation. So for those of you, just really briefly, for those of you who don't know who I am, I know a number of you have been with SBC since the very beginning when we started this in 2005. And it's been an incredible privilege for me to work with my partners, Steve and Laura and Rob and Laura Lynn and Bill, who are now emeritus board members, and Becky, who's joined us more recently, in building this organization that serves as an incredible, I think, holding place for a dialogue that's really important to be having in Los Angeles in particular, of any city in the world. So we've had a lot of fun over these last 8 years, and we hope to have a lot more fun with all of you. But beyond SBC, I am somebody who comes at sustainability from a long time interest in the field, kind of officially sort of putting my stake in the ground in 1998. When I was both in business school and I worked at the World Business Council for Sustainable Development in Geneva. I had discovered kind of this passion for sustainability and its intersection with business, several years prior, and just decided that that was what I was going to sort of stake my career on, even though it wasn't clear how that was actually going to transpire, because there were, virtually no opportunities in the field at that time. But I just sort of decided that it was where I needed to focus my attention. So fast forward several years now, which is also a little bit dizzying to think about. Green Business Base Camp is sort of the manifestation of a number of my professional experiences over the last decade plus, wherein I have been working in and around entrepreneurial environments in sustainability, with high growth companies in venture investment and in incubators. And so, the combination of that experience really left me feeling like there was a real sort of opportunity and missing piece for entrepreneurs who specifically are trying to develop products and services that solve, social or environmental challenges. So Basecamp is really that. It is a service that helps entrepreneurs think about how to be more successful as entrepreneurs, and it is, and we do that in a couple of different ways. We have offline training programs that we give to entrepreneurs. We are just launching a new service for corporate clients who are interested in sort of bringing sustainability more strategically into their individual lines of business through sort of an innovation lens. And then ultimately, we're building a platform. So a platform that brings together all of the amazing content that both exists today and we will help produce in the future around these topics of sustainability and innovation and entrepreneurship and sort of this global revolution that is really starting to gain tremendous momentum. So I'm happy to answer more questions about that, but now I'm going to move on to sort of the real reason for this discussion, which is, we are, this conversation that I'm hoping to contribute to tonight is part of the dialogue that's going on in sort of the broader media and in the business arena in general, sort of about this idea of, sort of taking stock of where we are as business people, both professionals and entrepreneurs, but specifically for entrepreneurs. How are we doing this? How are we going to build these companies? How are we going to do it without sort of losing sight of why we're doing it and losing sight of who we are as people in the process? And as I started to think about this conversation, both for my own self and on behalf of my clients, I realized that I'm not the only one who's thinking about this. There's a lot of people thinking about this and talking about it very publicly in a way that we have never seen, particularly in the broader business community. And so these are just a few ideas that I'm offering up that'll hopefully add value to the conversation more broadly, but also hopefully personally help some of you think about how to continue to shape your careers and your companies, be you independent professionals or entrepreneurs or working inside large organizations. There are a couple of key milestones that prompted me to say, okay, I've really got to do something about this that have happened to me in the last several months that make it very personal for me. One was my dad's death. He passed away last fall, and that presented an opportunity for real reflection for me to think about sort of what is my life about, why am I doing this, what is really important, what matters, and what are the decisions and choices that I have to make on a daily basis that are going to be part of my fabric for a long time. And then the second one was my friend Jody Sherman, who committed suicide earlier this year, who was the leader of a company in our space. It was called EcoMom. And while I wasn't a close personal friend of Jody's, I had the benefit of getting advice from him on a fairly regular basis that he offered, with utter generosity to both me and many people that I know. And his death was really shocking and also just a real wake-up call for me to say, there is something else going on in this entrepreneurial experience that needs to be exposed. If people are feeling like they can't do this and they can't sustain themselves and they can't get the kind of help they need as they go through this journey, this is a conversation that we have to have, especially in the sustainability arena where we're all about, sort of promoting life and promoting wellness and promoting, a healthy planet, etc. So those were two seminal things that, made me feel like, okay, this conversation has to get bigger. And then, from my own personal lens, I have been just in general, feeling overwhelmed, not so much by the entrepreneurial experience itself, although it has been challenging, but actually by the age that we're in. The information overload that we're being asked to contend with and deal with, the social media, and I know I'm dating myself here, but truly, like, I don't have the capacity for the level of distraction that it seems to require. And so I started looking around and feeling like something's got to give here. So those were sort of the points that led me to this, to develop these ideas and this conversation. And just as by way of reference, this talk is actually supposed to be on a PowerPoint, so I'm just sort of talking from my notes here. But if you saw it in a PowerPoint, I've used the 10-20-30 structure, which Guy Kawasaki offered us. He's one of the most renowned voices in entrepreneurship, and I had the great privilege of working with him for a couple of years. And the 10-20-30 rule for PowerPoint presentations is 10 slides, 20 minutes, and 30 points. So I'm going to break each of those rules here, but I'll try to be as clear and succinct as possible. But the title of this is Walking and in paren, Not Sprinting the Talk, a blueprint for personal sustainability and entrepreneurship. And I was surprised when I was hearing some feedback about the title that was throwing some people off. So I just want to take a moment to clarify. What I mean by personal sustainability is, yes, we're all doing our best to drive our Priuses and eat Gardein and do the right thing. But what I really mean here is taking care of yourself. Because as entrepreneurs and as professionals, you are the most precious resource and asset that you have. And so self-preservation and sustainability for self is what I'm really talking about by using that title. And so in the format of this presentation, the Guy Kawasaki approach to the PowerPoint deck, this is really kind of what people use as a pitch if they're going to talk to a venture capitalist. You're not that audience, but I still think it's a great framework. And so I'm going to talk about it as if we're doing that. And so the first slide is a problem. What is the problem? And just very briefly, life's a bitch, especially for entrepreneurs. And especially if you're doing an entrepreneurial venture, there's a fine line between delusion and vision that we're always walking. And truly, you have to be a little bit crazy to do this kind of work, to take these kinds of risks. But hopefully you can find a way to rationalize it. I have so far. I'm not sure if I will forever, but most importantly, I think burnout is a celebrated part of the entrepreneurial culture traditionally, especially that of Silicon Valley. And it's a badge of honor to say that you're burning the candle at both ends, you're working 24/7, that you're driving your team, and that your momentum is going at this really fast clip pace. And these are things that again, probably dating myself, in my 20s I thought were really sexy and interesting and fun, and now I just think they're sort of not that cool. so I really think that sort of a lifestyle, especially for entrepreneurs, is unsustainable, and that the trade-offs in both the short and the medium term are just not worth it. And so I realize that I'm being heretical when I say that, because that's just not what people say when they're trying to build a high-growth enterprise. But I'm just throwing it out there, and I have a feeling that I'm not alone in this thinking. And again, back to the sustainability industry, I feel like it sets the wrong example if we're burning ourselves out trying to build sustainable businesses. There's something that just really doesn't jive. And what I've discovered, interestingly, as I've started to have this conversation both in groups and with individuals, is that there's a lot of people who are taking stock and thinking about how they can redesign their lives to sort of have more sanity and more sustainability for themselves. So I think I might be onto something. But now I'm going to offer a couple of solutions, just some key things that have both helped me and helped some of my clients, and hopefully will help some of you as you go down this path. And the first of them, again, these are going to seem counterintuitive, but the first of them is to slow down. I mean, I think we're all just, going at this insane pace, and I'm not sure that it's actually producing the results we would like to believe it is. Secondly, simplify, curate, filter, and select. I think we're moving into this era where these are going to be the operative terms for how we build our lives, how we design our companies, and what matters. We've got to sort of focus on what's clear, what's clearly in our path and what's important to us, and sort of kind of get rid of the noise. And oh, by the way, there's a couple of things that Bobby and Marielle actually talk about in their book that are very useful and seem fairly obvious. to all of us, but gets so easily lost when we're going down the entrepreneurial path. And I'll just call out a few of them because, you know, they're kind of actually really important. So sleep. You know, Ariana Huffington's been talking a lot about this. I actually am a big believer in the power of sleep. Not because I'm lazy, but because I really believe it actually restores your energy and helps you get through what are otherwise really long days. Eating is actually really important, and I'm not talking about Cheese Whiz and Doritos. You know, as Michael Pollan says, eat real food, mostly plants. You know, I think that nutrition has an important fueling power for people as they get through a day, and, you know, you should just really not skip meals. Moving is really important. Getting your exercise, even if it's 15 or 30 minutes a day. You know, keeping your body mobile and not sitting behind a desk. I mean, there's all these new studies about how sitting behind a desk is ultimately super, super distractive. So finding ways to move throughout the day, including having meetings where you walk around a lake or walk down the block, or, you know, just stand up while you're having a phone call. You know, simple tips can help you move. And then, you know, getting your, you know, working smarter and more strategically. So not just working to be able to say, again, that I worked 24/7, but really be as smart as you can about doing the work that really matters on a given day. Meditation is something that everybody's talking about now, and I actually have also been I'm a witness to the power of meditation. I have been practicing for just under a year now, and I've found incredible rewards from doing that, and it's, you know, the benefits are sort of countless. I could go on, but happy to answer more questions. But one of the most important ones is that it's allowed me to sort of use the tools of meditation to treat everything in my life as a practice. And that includes leadership, it includes getting things done, it includes how I organize my schedule, but looking at it as always as, you know, I'm trying, you know, this process of continuous improvement and practice and focus are all these things that have helped me kind of get more disciplined. And then, of course, taking it personally. I mean, you know, everybody, I think sort of old school perspective is, you know, business is one thing, personal life is another, and I have just never understood that separation. And so I really feel like whatever you choose to do, building a high growth company, you know, staying inside a large organization, doing a nonprofit, whatever it is, I think you should take it personally. And I don't think that you should think about any of these things as separate or apart from who you are as a person. And then finally, I wouldn't have said this 5 years ago, but I think everybody's talking about it now, so I will say it. You know, you should love, and I mean love the people that are in your organization, love the people that are in your family, love your friends, love the people that you interact with, because it's a great tool to help you fuel what you're doing during the day, and, you know, the benefits are sort of, don't need to quantify them, try to quantify them. And the final thing I'll say about solutions is, you know, I'm really interested in personal development, and I've done a lot of reading and work in this area, and I think there's a million tools out there, and there are more and more tools available to help people stay focused and get organized, and I would just say avail yourself of all of those things. Don't get overwhelmed by them, but, you know, try a few different things and keep trying things until you can develop something that, develop a set of tools that work for you. Avoid perfectionism, that's the last one. Perfectionism is not cute, okay? I happen to be somebody who suffers from it. It's not cute, and it's not actually helpful or useful in life. And so that's part of the reason I'm doing this talk tonight, is because it's far from perfect, and I appreciate, you know, you all, I'm sure you're all judging me under your breath, but hopefully you'll at least ask me a good question at the end. And, you know, being an entrepreneur requires that you get past imposter syndrome. That's just the bottom line. You know, none of us are qualified to do very many of the things that we do in any given day anyway, so let's just drop that and realize that it's all a constant experimentation. And so, you know, you don't need to be perfect. Failure, in fact, is a celebrated part of entrepreneurship. So in the context of, you know, this framework, the business model, I would say keep your day job, have a stash, or hit up your family. I know that I've been very fortunate. My brother happens to be here tonight, and he can speak firsthand to the importance of family in this process. You know, it always takes longer than you think. And God knows I've been already at this for longer than I'm going to admit tonight, and it's still taking me longer than I'd like. So it just takes longer than you think. So be prepared for the rainy day that will inevitably come. And you know, as you're starting your business, make sure that you are identifying a problem that is personal and meaningful to you that you're trying to solve through tools that can be useful to others. Obviously, you have to have customers, otherwise you don't have a business. And then, especially to this audience, don't be afraid of making money. And financial sustainability is key to your personal sustainability. And I have painfully experienced the challenges of this firsthand. And you know, we, I think, tend in this industry to forget about the importance of personal financial sustainability. And you know, choosing to do a business like this should not assign you to a life of poverty. So that's, you know, I think another separate conversation that we could all have on another day. But I think we tend to, you know, be so passionate and so mission driven in this business that we forget about the importance of money, but we shouldn't. So then there's the underlying magic of technology, otherwise known as the secret sauce, and you are it. So again, I'm speaking to individuals here and your personal well-being. You are the magic. It's your idea, or yours and your co-founders, and you know, don't forget that as you build the company. You are the most important resource that you have. So again, all the more reason why you need to preserve your well-being. The systems you set up are the technology itself, and so think about it as a design project and act with intention. And you know, you may often feel alone because it is a very lonely process, in spite of the fact that you hopefully will surround yourself with a really incredible team. But you know, make sure that you have resources that you can count on to support you in the loneliest of moments, which probably don't ever go away until you sell your company or go out of business. So marketing and sales. Market yourself as the kind of entrepreneur that investors can count on, that team members can enjoy working with, and that customers can connect with. Best and only when your life is optimized. So in other words, you can't be a great resource to others unless, you know, you're kind of a resource for yourself. And then find colleagues and customers and investors who share your values. There are an increasing number of these kinds of people out there, investors who want to invest in the kinds of companies that we're building. And then bake this set of principles into your culture, into your mission, into the DNA of your company. This is something that is really fundamental that we advise our clients to do. You know, be intentional about putting this in the very codification of who you are as a company and what you're trying to accomplish, and the rest will follow. And then around competition, that's everyone who's using the traditional means by which to build a company and to grow it. And you know, my argument is they might win in the short term and even win big, but at what cost? To themselves, to their families, to society even. Your challenge, I think, is to define success and what that means for you personally and for your company. And we are changing the rules of this game as we speak, and I would encourage you to think about how you can continue to do that. And you know, again, back to this idea that it's counterintuitive, but I'd submit that this sort of a path will lead to long-term sustained success for you and your team and your business. And speaking of team, very critical, obviously, but as an entrepreneur founder, you are the team lead, and you have the obligation to a lot of people who are in your orbit, and that includes your family and friends and colleagues and investors, mentors and coaches, peers. All of these people can be a resource for you in addition to being, you know, playing the other roles that they have. And so do your best to find the right people to pull into your ecosystem. And last but not least on that front, you know, make sure you find great wellness service providers, because you're going to need them.
Carrie?
Yeah, time. Okay, so I'll just finish with a couple of last comments. Skip a couple of these points. hopefully you're going to edit this video, Molly. So in summary, what I want to say is, this is the last slide in the deck, summary and call to action. So put yourself first. Entrepreneurial burnout is so 2000. I really do believe that. Make a decision today to optimize your personal well-being. The business case is clear. I don't think I need to convince any of you of that. And then, again, be very intentional about how you spend your time. Stay focused on what really matters and make the hard choices to avoid people, activities, and thought patterns that distract you from your path and your goals. And write your obituary. I dare you. This is an exercise that will make really clear what's important to you in your life. What do you want it to say? What will give you the sense of a complete and fulfilled life as you look back on it? What's your legacy? Begin with the end in mind as you start your entrepreneurial venture or even wherever you are in that process. Because you only really get one turn on the dance floor, or at least in this lifetime, depending on how you look at that question. So stop and smell the roses, and I mean that very literally. Take time to do those small things in every day that help restore your energy and help make you remember what it's all about. So thank you so much for your attention.
Yeah. Does anyone have
Even though I
any
can't really see anyone.
questions for Carrie?
Can we turn this light on?
Can we turn this light on? We'll start with you, Lenny.
Sure. Hey, I was wondering, how do you think we can go about our day and make other people more aware of what we're trying to do? Because really what we're doing right now is a very small niche of society still, and a lot of people I see on a daily basis have no clue about this and that it's going to be the future of our society. How do we get people to be more aware of that?
That's a great question. I used to spend a lot of time thinking about that, and trying to convince people that this was the right path. And where I've migrated to over the last decade plus is that this is a conversation that you try to have with people by meeting them where they are. So find a a lot of this conversation boils down to the very personal. So why does climate change matter? Why does the environment matter? Why does social impact matter? If you can bring it back and relate it to people with a very personal example, that is usually a way to turn a light bulb on. I have found that doing the other approach of sort of trying to be more explicit doesn't really work. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, definitely.
Other question? Nerdy?
I don't have a question so much as just a comment. I just want to say, there's a quote I read by actually this Buddhist nun who said that the essence of bravery is the lack of self-deception. And I just wanted to say thank you for sharing so openly tonight. I think that it was really brave, and this is a really important topic. And, there's a lot of, there is a culture, I think, especially when you're working towards your passion, where the more you work, the more dedicated you are. And so people almost wear it as a badge of honor to be working around the clock. But you're absolutely right that we can end up wearing ourselves down and burning ourselves out and forgetting what it is we're working, or not allowing ourselves to experience that love and part of life. That's the whole reason we're doing this in the first place, is to protect those moments that we have together. So mostly I just wanted to say thanks. So that's it.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that, Reed. And that's why I'm doing this, is because I know, like I said, I'm not the only person that has made these observations, and this dialogue is happening in the broader business community, and I'm really thrilled to see that. So I just think the more we can talk about it, the more it gets exposed, and the more we can change the culture. Yes.
Oh,
Hi.
go ahead.
Hi, thank you so much. I got a lot out of your presentation. Can you give us a couple of like really practical tools if you're working with someone or a group of people who have the expectation that you're going to be available 24/7 and they're going to burn out and you want to set boundaries?
Yeah, well, I've gotten really ruthless about that. And, you know, so I have clients that that have that expectation, and I just, you know, I mean, just very sort of matter of fact about it. Like, and I explain it up front, and I say, you know, these are kind of the parameters, and, you know, we just sort of no apologies. And if you don't want to work with me because I'm not going to be at your beck and call all day and night, then I'm sure there's, you know, you can find somebody who is willing to do that. But I actually do it also, I mean, it's interesting, I'm working with a client right now where the partner that I'm working most closely with is like, she's the prime example of somebody, and she wanted to be here tonight because she knows that she's sort of the ultimate case study for this. But she couldn't be here because she's working. And I've been coaching her a lot. I mean, I'm finding that a lot of people are really in need of permission. They need permission to create some parameters because the permission, you know, doesn't exist. And so I'm, you know, she in her case, I'm like actually coaching her on how to create those boundaries. And you know, it's not easy, but if you kind of can do it up front before you begin a conversation or an engagement, etc., and just kind of set the expectation.
Right.
Hopefully that
Thank you.
can help.
Yeah, I'll just piggyback on that, and thank you for your talk, and I totally agree with you. I'm a freelance writer, and last year I made the deliberate decision to fire a client who gave me probably 1/3 of my work, but he was like you described, the case study of the person, and I sacrificed some income, but life is so much better. So it is, yeah, it helps to set those boundaries.
Did you?
Yeah, I found your talk so inspirational, Carrie. Thank you for sharing what you did tonight. What was the inspiration that got you to start your business?
Well, you know, I have an entrepreneurial streak that I've had for kind of as long as I can remember. I'm one of these people who doesn't necessarily believe that entrepreneurs were born, although I think I may sort of be in that camp. But it's something I've been thinking about for a long time, and it really, you know, as I said, having worked in a lot of these environments with entrepreneurs, for entrepreneurs, consulting to entrepreneurs, working with, you know, venture investors, et cetera, sitting around all sides of the table, as I like to say, I really felt like there was a missing link for entrepreneurial advocates. So there are plenty of services that are out there that, you know, are accelerators and incubators now that have emerged again in the last, you know, 24 months. But none of them are focusing strictly on serving this particular marketplace of sort of triple bottom line entrepreneurship. Combined with business, you know, so it's easy to sort of look at that through the lens of the not-for-profit, but so that's sort of the unique niche that we are trying to fill on a global basis, both with our services and the platform. And you know, I think there's a big and growing market for it, and hopefully a number of you can take advantage of our services at some point. And that's sort of what inspired me. It's just to seeing that gap in the market and looking to fill it.
That's it.
We'll take one last question.
So, Carrie, great speech. I appreciate the comments on having the work-life balance. But when you're a young entrepreneur starting off, it sounds like what you're recommending is kind of an opposing force to what an entrepreneur may feel they need to be successful. How do you coach someone on balancing that? Because you can't show that you're only doing 80% effort when investors are expecting you to do 110% effort. And obviously you got to have that balance so that you're putting in the right amount of effort, but at the same time not going insane.
So I'm not suggesting that you don't need to put in a lot of effort and that you don't need to build strong momentum. But I guess one of the observations I've made is, sort of the go-go 90s and 2000s and up to now, the investment community has had certain expectations which haven't necessarily served us all that well. I mean, there are a couple of examples that, that are examples of success from that model, but I'd submit that the model is changing and that the perspectives of investors are changing and that the community of investors who are interested in impact-driven companies is also growing. So I think there's a number of macro trends in the marketplace for entrepreneurship and investment that suggest that there's greater tolerance for this approach to building a high-growth company. And that there's just more reason, and again, not everybody's going to be this way, but it's much easier to find those types of investors today than it ever has been. And so I'd say if you're getting pushback, and again, not suggesting that this is an easy path, just saying that, focusing on personal preservation so that you have the energy and you have the wherewithal to build the intense pace that you need to build and maintain. I mean, it's like a high performance athlete, right? Lots of, you got to focus on making sure that you have the right tools to be able to build the company in a way that's sustainable. And an entrepreneur, an investor that doesn't understand that is probably not the investor you want to work with.
Molly, I just have one more quick question. Is that okay?
Maybe ask her after.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
because
sure. I'm
people
happy to
want
stick around.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you.
Great. I just want to offer my perspective on that because I don't know investors who ask, how many hours did you work this week? I've been checking your punch cards and you're not working enough. It's just about results. And so I think you can do a couple things. One, under-promise, over-deliver. However, any smart investor knows that your plan is too optimistic. Period. I mean, the whole hockey stick, that never happens except, I don't know, in spread of malaria or something. But it just doesn't. Things, as Carrie mentioned, they just take longer. And the smart investors understand that, so they're just looking for a good team who will be able to deal with the inevitable slings and arrows and figure it out along the way. So level set expectations and then perform. But what Carrie is suggesting, which I fully agree with, and to continue the metaphor, I mean, this is all about, it's not even a marathon, it's an ultra marathon. Ultimately, endurance is what wins, and to get endurance, you need ultimately self-preservation. You can't sprint for a 50-mile race. You just, it doesn't happen. So anyway, thank you very much, Carrie. That was very good. Okay, a few housekeeping things. So about the books, okay, whether or not they will be classics someday. Look at it this way. We bought a bunch of these things. You're buying these books, get you a good book. There's actually some really interesting stuff here. And it's basically a donation to us. So rationalize it that way if you must, but we would appreciate it. And then Molly doesn't have to keep schlepping this stuff everywhere. She's been schlepping them a lot of places. Okay. Please become a SBC forum member. If you're not one, talk to Molly about that. Remember our event, July 18th. Thank you again to sponsors, and thank you for coming.